Hello and welcome back to We Talk Talent, our highly popular interview series where we uncover stories, strategies, and solutions driving the future of talent, HR innovations, and leadership. I'm Abhik Roy, Associate Content and Community from ETHRWorld, and it's my pleasure to introduce the guest of our today's episode, Sridhar Bharadwaj, VP HR from JB Pharma. Hi Sridhar, we are so happy to have you here. Welcome to We Talk Talent.
Thank you so much, Abhi. A very good morning, and thank you once again. Thank you to you and ETHR for having me here.
Thank you, and it's a pleasure to have you here. So Sridhar, I'll just start with my first question. Employee expectations today, are not what they used to be maybe a couple of years ago. A lot has changed, since in these past few years. What stand out to you as the most significant changes when it comes to workforce expectations? And how is your organization adapting to meet these evolving needs?
That's a very good question, Abhi. You are absolutely right that the expectation of workforce is changing. It's not that it's changed 5 years now, it's going to keep changing rapidly. Because we talk of the generation, we talk of millenniums, Gen Z, so on and so forth, alphas and so on and so forth. But what the fact is, yes, the workforce, this thing has changed later on. Uh, what will happen is that because it's a new generation which is coming to workforce, the expectations are changing. What the To answer your question is, can we change the expectation? No, we cannot change the expectation. So we need to change ourselves. So the only solution is that we have to recognize that today we are in a different world altogether. That the workforce coming in is more of a generation which is they are ones who look for creativity. For them, it's not a job; it's like finding a purpose in the job. They're not going to stick around for you. They're not going to tell you that, okay, I'm here for 5 years, 2 years. There's a time when people would ask a question like, what do you see yourself 5 years from now, 10 years from now? I think the question is no longer valid. I mean, they will say, yeah, perhaps you will be there for 5 years. I certainly am not there for 5 years. It may be stated or may not be stated. So they are looking for what is the purpose? What am I here for? What are my skill sets? What value will the organization add to me in the time which I've done? Do I have the creativity? Do I have the flexibility? Do I have is the organization agile? People want to work in a new tech companies, much more companies which are more into which will embrace technology, which is in today's world, they will talk of what are your AI tools? Will I get to use my AI tools? What all will happen? How do I add to my skills? Because today's workforce is highly mobile. Today you have a concept of you can work from anywhere in the world, so this doesn't matter for where I am. So they are looking, how do I matter if I'm in a remote area or as long as I'm delivering? They are looking at flexibility of working hours. They are looking at flexibility of working days. They are looking at flexibility of they want to report to somebody who's much younger, who they feel they will be able to understand their this thing. So if these are the given things, so what the organization needs to do is adapt and be more flexible. You cannot say that I cannot today, for example, today everybody asks me, do you have flexi time? Do you have flexible number of work from home? Today, if I do not have these are not a luxury, they are essentials. I will not be able to attract talent.
I also want to know from you, AI and automation, are transforming industries everywhere. In terms of pharma, where do you see the biggest tangible impact technologies right now making? And where do you want to leverage HR tech next? Where do you see, it making the next big impact?
The next thing, everybody is talking about AI, everybody is talking of tech, right? So people talk of using AI in HR, people talk of L&D, people talk of using at full workplace. See, one needs to understand if in the industry, if I may say so, where do I need to make an impact? If I see your financial institutions like your insurance and all, they have gone deep into the era of AI there because it's much more customer centric. You want an insurance policy, you want to know the details of so and so. You can keep chatting with them or keep you have an AI which gives you all the information. But in our this thing, it's more about medicine. And if you are not well, whom do you go to? You go to a doctor, right? You will depend more on the doctor to prescribe you a medicine, and you'll blindly go to the shop and take that medicine. And that first thing when you take a medicine is how do I get well soon, right? So in a limitation when I look at an external interface. Today, I will use the technology of how do I go and represent to a doctor, because the younger doctors also are tech savvy. Because in doctors, what happens is you have people who are youngsters and people who are very old. Because that's where today the world is today. Maybe an elder doctor may not be that tech savvy. He may still prefer somebody to come and do a detailing. But today, gone are the days when an MR would take a huge bag carrying samples and literature. Today, they show go on laptops. Sorry, your on digitization, not laptops, on your iPads. Similarly, it's more about how do I keep connecting him, because if you give too much of literature, nobody reads. So you have to have a technology of giving him in small bites, because today is more of a bite learning. Maybe on WhatsApp, maybe you give him this thing on information on various factors so that he keeps learning from there. So you have to have people who are a bit tech savvy, or who will be able to add value to the doctor and say, doctor, why didn't you see that, read this in a leisure time, or giving an inputs or in terms of what's happening around the world through a technology source. Second is, how do I use my technology to, or an AI platform, which is much more, have more simulations, and I keep practicing and practicing till I get a particular level before I go and meet my doctors or my other opinion makers in this thing. So I use more of technology to enable learning. So I need not do a person to person or classroom sort of a learning, but I'm using technology more to develop myself so that I become a better in terms of my skills. So, and that's where I use the technology for me so that I am more effective at the place when I meet my doctor. That's how it would be. Similarly, internally, I use technology or training for training programs where today it's just not classroom training. I am doing a lot of e-learning programs, which again is a skill set. So it's more about having employees to learn at a pace of what they want to know and when they want to learn. That is more important, because that's what I was telling in the beginning, of having the flexibility and having the agility. Tomorrow in a place like Mumbai, at an average, people spend 2 hours traveling. So what do I do? I may look at a Netflix, or if I have something interesting, I can learn on that on the go while sitting outside a doctor's cabin. So this is where I feel that the pharma industry is using technology, and we are also using at JB of how to see. We are not as fast or have adopted the technology, because if I compare to, say, in financial institution or banking, because it's much more. We are doing it what suits us, and it's more important that the doctor or my main customer or my employees have the right skills to do that.
You talked about progressive therapies and innovations that are happening in the pharma sector right now. I want to build on that. uh, Pharma innovation is accelerating with the emergence of all these modern technologies. How are you creating that workplace environment where the employees are encouraged to experiment, learn, and innovate? How is that innovation flourishing? If you could share.
Yeah. So let me say it's more of improvisation than innovation, because in my view, the word innovation is a bit overused part of it. Innovation happens doesn't happen every day, right? Innovation happens at a much later. What we encourage people is, how do you improvise? Um, Maybe in a smaller scale of innovation, a part of it, because it's very easy to copy. You do something new, others copy you. So you don't have the cutting edge beyond a few days now, right? So what we encourage people is to try new things out. Because as I said, you go, you meet a doctor, or you do learning of new things, you say, "Hey, there's nothing new in that." Fine. And the only way is, have I tried something? So as an organization, we are not averse to taking risks. So whether we launch new products or we try something new, we said, okay, let's give it a try. Make a quick decision. Let's go into it. You may succeed, may not succeed, because something has not wrong well, there's no penalty for that. Because I always feel that learning happens, major learning happens when you don't succeed, or because if you fail, because that's where you do a maximum learning. And believe me, that learning cycle of is much faster. Well, when you keep on succeeding, then you are not learning much. So as an organization, it's not that we said two things: give your best. If it happens, great. If it doesn't happen, okay. We'll learn from that and move on. So when an employee does not have a fear of failure, he is willing to experiment. Second is freedom. Again, one of for JB, right from my CEO to everybody, we enjoy a great amount of empowerment. Okay, because that's removed when I own something. When he's empowered, you say it's your call, it's your baby, you do it. It puts more responsibility on me because it's my decision. It's not somebody else's decision, right? So when I have my this thing more decision on me, when I am empowered, I then put in my best to make it succeed. And that is perhaps one of the reasons why we have grown so fast in the last 5 years.
Talking about learning, is anything you would like to share more on learning? Like, how's the culture of learning at JB? Any outcomes,
Yeah.
anything?
As I said, the learning is more on the job because I was saying is because you're doing on the job, you are learning more. Okay, because that's what I might fundamentally believe is that a classroom, with due respect to a classroom learning, it has a limitation. You may get the best faculty, you may do simulations, you may do everything, you may have a competency model, everything. But end of the day is what have you put that into practice? That's why I said this is knowledge, this is skill. Knowledge is easy to gain today because in the world of chat GPT and internet and everything, you have so much of knowledge. Frankly, you can pick up a subject and you can read on it for 5 10 minutes and talk. Even if you don't know, at least you'll talk to about it for 10 minutes and people give an impression, wow, yeah, Ravi knows so much about it. But the question is practicality and how do you use it for the benefit of the organization or for the benefit of yourself?
That's a great take. One last question for you. Quickly, HR is being called upon to shape the business strategy. Right now, HR is being seen as a critical collaborator in the business transformation. Any skill, any mindset that you think, that needs to be changed within HR for HR professionals to truly become a, strategic partner? What skills needs to be, like developed within HR right now to make the transformation?
Avi, my view is again say that the word strategy is again a overuse. Everybody wants strategy. You go to campus. I remember when I used to go to campus, I used to interview the first guys who have a one, not even a 0 day. He talks, I want to do strategic HR. Okay. That's why I said not everybody does strategy HR. Okay. It's only when you reach at the top, you start thinking travel. We all do tactical and operational HR, right? Most of the people are required. And that's important to do because if you are on a ground doing the operational work or tactical work, then a time will come when the time comes for you to think of strategy, you start thinking much better and deeper. Other what is strategy? You can read 5 books, 5 articles, look at the 5 PPTs and make because your PPTs talks about strategy. But most of the strategies fail because lack of execution. So if you are good in execution and tactical work, operations, you are in a better position to think about what sort of a strategy I should have. If I have a marketing guy, but I've never been, because the best marketing guys are the people who work as from who grow from sales, who have done a lot of work in the field, right? They know what works. But if I come from a from an MBA institute and only talk through PPT and knowledge and what's happening in this institute, this company, that doesn't work. What works for a company A may not work for company B because your culture is different, with the way your thoughts are different, the way you look at things are different. So coming back to your question, one thing I would always tell is be grounded, interact with the people down, understand what the business is, how it works. And I say that's more because today, many of my HR colleagues may not like it, that more people we get from HR are ones today are not worked either in a plant or on the field. When I say field, it may be on at the if at a store or something like that. If you straight away is parachuted into a corporate office sitting part of it. That's why you make beautiful presentations in terms of strategy. But again, I always believe is strategy is only as good as only when it gets implemented. So people in HR need to understand the business first. spend more time with business leaders, understand what they want, or what is that I can do to influence or make them feel better. If a small change in a policy or change in strategy can give them a better result, or will get them into a better this thing competence, then great.
That's a great analogy. So thank you, Sridhar, for joining us on We Talk Talent. It was lovely to have this conversation and learn so
Uh,
much. And thank you for taking out the time. So
Thank you, Abhik. It's always a pleasure interacting with you. Anytime. My pleasure.
great. It's equally my pleasure. And to our viewers, stay tuned for our next episode where we will continue to explore more trends and more transformative ideas, shaping the future of work. Until next time, thank you and take care.